Hey there! Every month, Annie has a call with our Path 365 members and answers their questions. She tackles a wide range of topics from what to do with big emotions, what kinds of tips and advice she has for addressing difficult situations, how to deal with cravings, and so much more. Listen in as she does some real life coaching for our Path members.
Hey Annie, I've got two things on my mind today. I feel so much regret for my past and so much comparison going on with myself and others on this journey. Do you have any advice for me?
I think that one of the things that I'm becoming more and more present to in my own life, and it's just fascinating, and it's so obvious when you say it this way. It's so obvious, but it's one of these so obvious things that we actually don't really get. And it's that the future and the past don't actually exist anywhere but in our own minds right now. So, and the amazing thing about that, when we really start to get and understand that, is that we can actually tell ourselves a different story about our past. And I've experienced this for myself where I've told myself, like so much regret, especially with my kids, just certain situations where I just felt so much regret about how I behaved with them when I was drinking, or different things that happened. And as I've become more and more present to this, I was telling this story, this just happened like a week ago, but my 15-year-old came to a home and he wanted to talk about something, and it's like one of those things where he wants to talk but then he pulls back, then he wants to talk and he pulls back, and anyway, I was just there with him, listening to music with him. Turns out that one of his close friends had brought a coffee cup full of tequila to school, and all the kids at the table were drinking it except my son. And my son was like in so much anger towards this kid. And I know this is going to sound really radical considering kind of who I am, but as he was telling me about how this kid, he was so frustrated with him, I saw that my son's pain wasn't necessarily with the situation as much as it was with like being so mad at his friend. And so I started asking him, like, wow, I wonder what it must be like to be in this kid's house if his parents don't even notice that the coffee mug he's bringing to school is full of tequila. Like, I wonder how you could have, I wonder what it must feel like to feel like you need to put on that big of a show to impress all of the other kids. Cause I know you don't feel like you need to do that. And my son just started to, I was like, what if your job right now wasn't to police or judge him, but what if your job right now was to sort of find compassion for this kid? And like everything in him lightened up. And it was so interesting because he thought of all the people that was going to get on his side to be mad at this kid and make this kid wrong. It would be me, right? And and yet that was the thing. And I'm telling that whole story, number one, because I think it's interesting, but number two, because in that moment, I told myself a different story about my past with this son. This was the same son who would get on, like, wouldn't want to sit on my lap because I smelled bad and my teeth were purple. And in that moment, I've never told him how to behave around alcohol, what to do around alcohol. I've just answered questions, and I've obviously been an example. But in that moment, I was like, oh, like, everything that has happened actually happened just how it should have happened for this moment right now. And so I think it's so amazing that when we feel anxiety about our past or about our future, to recognize that both of those things are just happening. And so I think that the fascinating thing is, like, with the ACT technique, you can take those things and you can actually change and rewrite those things now. And it's not rewriting the happening as much as it's rewriting the meaning, right? Because the meaning I had given to the moments where I felt really guilty and upset about my son seeing me drunk, was that I was a bad mom, that I had done it wrong, that I had let him down. And the new meaning was that, wow, like, he got to see, like, he's the only one of my kids who's going to get to see both sides. He remembers. And like, and he's more able to make a choice and a decision because he's gotten to see both sides. My other two kids they'll never remember me drinking. And so I just think that that's one of those things about the past that is so amazing. In terms of comparison, I just want to give you like tattoo this on your eyeballs or put it on a post. I have all these post-it notes around, but like for me, the program of comparison that we have in our society is so intense and deep. And for me, the principle that overrides that program that I have to be reminded of constantly until it becomes natural is that comparison is the thief of joy. And so I would just say that over to yourself over and over, and just remind yourself that joy is the game, right? Like that's what we want. Because I believe that if we can experience joy, all the other sort of foundational things have to be in place, right? We have to have love and wholeness and acceptance and all of those things in place for us to experience real joy. And I'm not talking about pleasure, right? But I'm talking about like joy, and comparison is the thief of joy. It will rob you of joy so quickly. And so I feel like when I just remind myself of that, and this is just one of those places where you just kind of have to repeat it over and over and over.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're ready to see how This Naked Mind can help you on your personal health and wellness journey and want to learn more, go to thisnakedmindpodcast.com to learn what your next best step is. Again, that's thisnakedmindpodcast.com. We have all of our free resources, programs, social links, and more available for you there. Plus, if you have your own naked life story to share, you can submit it there as well. Until next week, stay curious.